To order the Common Council meeting for November 18, 2013. Could we please stand for invocation?
Didn't ask the copies, did he?
Sorry.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight to conduct city business. We pray that you would be with the families of those that have recently been affected because of the storms. We pray for our police and fire and our street department workers that are out there every day, and pray that you continue to keep them safe. We pray for our leaders, our administration, and for the council. Pray that we'd have wisdom and be able to conduct the business of the city in a good way. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilperson Sestavny.
Here.
Councilperson Payne.
Here.
Councilperson Gill.
Here.
Councilperson Glover.
Here.
Council President Sellers.
Here.
Council Vice President Julius.
Here.
Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Let the record reflect 8 council members present with Councilperson Smith absent.
And approval of the agenda. Mr. Lewis has asked that we add something under new business. It's the ordinance authorizing termination of water service for delinquent sewer bills. He talked about this at last meeting, and it was supposed to be added on, and we did not add it on. So,
Number 4.
yeah, it'd be number 4 under new business.
Is that in our packet?
No, he was waiting. He was waiting on a court decision.
Yeah, there was some language I had to get out explaining.
I didn't see it.
I have something we need to add unless we've already done this. I don't think we have. We need to make our appointment to the Fiscal 911 Board. As a council, we have an appointment there. I don't think we made that appointment.
Mike's already been attending the meetings.
Well, there's only been one meeting, and I know he attended, but we never made an official appointment.
Should we wait until Mike's here, since he's been the...
I'm almost positive he was appointed.
I thought we did, because he's been going to the meeting.
I think it was
He
done
sent me the meeting dates.
And he was on the
I think
committee that
technically we sent him to the meetings, and now they have a board, we need to make an official
appointment to the board. And he wants to be that appointment, so, I mean, if you want to wait for him to be here, that's fine, but they're meeting again next week. I don't know if we're sending an appointment, or if an appointment is representing us without being officially voted to do so. I couldn't find in the minutes where we nominated and appointed him. I know we sent him on behalf of the council to
Before
do the makeup, to do the ordinance.
Want to add it for 5? Wait, where did it?
I guess we can just add it under 5. Don't let me forget. Make an appointment.
What's that board called?
Motion to approve the changes.
911 Fiscal Board.
Second.
I have a motion second to approve the agenda with the 2 additions of the ordinance authorizing the termination of water service for delinquent sewer bills and the appointment to the 911 board. Is there anything else? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes.
He wins.
Minutes to be
He
approved.
wins.
No, I say, hope he wants to be appointed.
The first set of minutes is from your council meeting from November the 4th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve the council regular proceedings and minutes from November 4th. Any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, then the second set is from your council workshop on November 4th.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve the council workshop minutes from November 4th, 2013. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved.
Requesting approval of claims in the amount of $701,939.75.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the claims in the amount of $701,939 $701,939.75. Any other questions or comments?
I'm abstaining.
Okay, I have one abstention. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, report of the clerk.
Yes, I only have one item.
Yeah, for Charlie.
This year, again, they're having the Clark County Youth Shelter and Family Services are holding their 2013 annual holiday celebrity waiter dinner, and didn't know if you all were interested again in buying a table for this year.
What was the date of it?
December the 11th.
The Wednesday.
Yes.
We had a table last year, and our table was well attended, plus the event was well attended, so I support it. I don't know how the rest of you.
Support it.
Yeah, you
Do we need a motion?
I'll
We need a motion.
Make a motion, I'll second.
So moved.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to purchase a table. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, department head report, Mr. Heffernan.
Good evening, council.
That's been speedy.
I'm here to ask to have some money appropriated from the spay and neuter program. I turned in 2 sheets showing our expenditure and our revenue side, and I have less than $2,000 left in my expenditure side. And I'm asking that $23,000 of that $25,000 that's on my revenue side be moved over to my expenditure side to finish out the year.
How much? 20?
$23,000, sir.
And this is from the spay neuter fund?
Yes, ma'am.
And so it's not being moved out of the fund, it's just being moved to a different line item? Okay,
So that,
okay.
so that need to be in
We
a
have to
special
advertise?
appropriation?
Yeah, this is a motion
Okay.
advertise.
I move to advertise the $23,000 to be expended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the $23,000 for the animal shelter to be advertised.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Unfinished business, Mr. Lewis.
Yes, this is ordinance number 2013 OR 42. This is passed on the first and second reading, so it's up for a motion to be approved on a third reading, and it's an ordinance amending the current advisory drainage board ordinance.
I make a motion to approve on the third reading, 2013 OR 42.
I have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2013 OR 42 on the third and final reading. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Public hearing, Ms. Deering.
Requesting approval of OR 2013 OR 44. This was passed on first and second reading, and it was advertised for a public hearing for tonight.
Okay. I'm opening the floor for the public hearing. Is there anyone who wants to speak for or against this ordinance? Anyone? Okay, the public hearing is closed.
Motion to approve, final reading?
Okay, I have a motion second to approve the ordinance for additional appropriation. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Ms. Deering.
This is Les.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's 2A. I'm sorry, Mr. Merkley.
This is a zoning matter that was at the last meeting, I think ended in a 4-4 tie. Mr. Pfeiffer was here representing the applicant for the rezoning, and of course, under Indiana statute, if a zoning ordinance ends in a tie and is not approved, it's really effectively not dead. It can be brought back up. It was my impression that that just left Mr. Pfeiffer and his client the opportunity at some point to not to reapply, but request that it be brought up again. And I assume since Mr. Pfeiffer's not here, he did not request that. So I understand why the clerk
Oh, I thought
put
that
it.
he was going to
Yeah,
be here tonight.
Did he say he was
asked
going
to table it. Yeah, he said
Okay.
table it.
Table it goes on automatically
Yeah.
at the next meeting.
Okay, well, he's not here. So this, if you remember, this was the storage.
Anyone that he represents here?
Is
Is
anyone
for the
here
storage
in
unit?
reference to the storage units?
Did they
Rezoning
understand that we
commercial
would be
property?
bringing this back?
Well, Mr. Pfeiffer should have known.
Yeah.
He asked for it to be put on.
If you remember, this was rezoning that properties from, it would still be commercial, it's going from a C1 to a C2, and the C2 would allow them to build the storage units, they're large storage units specifically for recreational vehicles and large vehicles, boats, and so forth.
Well, since this has been advertised as a public hearing, I think that should we go ahead? I know there's people here to speak on this.
Well, I mean, we had the public hearing at the last meeting, so I mean, I think you can go ahead if you want to, since technically the public hearing that we had last time would continue into this meeting, so.
Well, I want to hear what they have to say because they came out, they thought that
Okay.
everyone was going to be here, and I think it would be rude not to.
Yeah, but continue over
Tom,
into
can
this
you hand me
meeting.
the paper?
This is the two people. I don't think anyone on this list signed up for this.
Oh, well, let me just make sure. Oh, no, okay. Is there anyone here who wants to speak for or against the mini storage unit? Is there anyone here to speak on that? Maybe there's not anybody here.
What exactly is the mini storage unit?
Do what?
What exactly is this unit? What purpose does it serve?
It's going to be boat storage, I believe,
An RV.
and RV storage.
Now, and people from lower
If you need to come up to the microphone and give your name and address, please.
Are people from lower incoming housing projects going to be able to have availability to these
We
new
need
docks?
your name.
We need
and-
your name and address.
Shelby Chadwell, Jeffersonville, Indiana, right up the road.
Okay, we need your streets. We need it for the record.
405 Allison Lane.
What do you mean, are they going to have access to it? I guess if they could pay the rent, they could use it. Is that what you mean?
Well, my dad had heard some about this, and he believes that most of the aristocrats around here are only going to be available to go to these docks. Now, some of us poor people can't afford these boats.
Oh, wait a second. We're not talking about the docks. We're talking about the storage unit.
Storage units. That's what I was asking. What do they serve? What purpose do the storage
It's
units
going to be on Middle Road.
Middle Road?
This is
Okay.
the rezoning matter.
I just got back in from Kansas City building a little bit of a network out there. So I'm just trying to get up to date. figure out
Okay,
how
so
to
this is for the mini
city council.
storage unit that's going to be to house boats and RVs on Middle Road and Allison,
Yes.
back behind the Dairy Queen.
Yes.
It's a private development, not a city development.
Okay.
And docks are coming up
So
coming out.
I can't ask what's going in these storage units?
a little later.
Well, the
I don't
storage
think there's
unit
anybody
is
here to answer
RVs
the question. They said it was going to be RVs
and boats.
Boats.
That's what
It's
that
not-
is.
It's not
our project, it's a private
This is a private developer.
Like
This is
state?
not city property.
Federal?
No, like
No, it's-
a guy who bought the land and is building
Like
storage
you,
facilities.
went out and bought some land and you want to build something on it.
Storage units, like, some of the storage units may have furniture or household belongings or
If I need a job, go apply if I can find the guy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right.
Maybe there's some.
Is there anybody else who wants to?
Mr. Zapp.
Zap.
Mr. Zapp?
Yeah, I spoke the last time about the units that were planning to go in, and I disapproved that. I had talked to other neighborhoods, 3 neighborhoods in the area, and I didn't get enough response back to say that it's a majority, but I did not get any positive responses back for the installation of that type of storage units.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's a storage unit that is built like Storage Express, I had visited the 3 Storage Expresses on 62, and they're excellent. They're low-key, they look nice, they don't seem to bother the neighborhood, but I have no confidence at all that it'll be like that. Because I saw a similar example over on, across from the Y that had boat storage. I saw some downtown of old ordinances of boat storage, and it's very undesirable. So that's the viewpoint that we have up there at Mill Road, Ellison Lane. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we all received the emails that were sent out, and there were numerous emails of people opposing this. So anyway, is there anyone else who wants to speak? Okay, then I'm going to close that public comment. Mr. Merkley, do you suggest that we wait and contact Mr. Pfeiffer?
With the,
We need to vote.
We need to vote? Okay. Well,
He was adamant on here.
He requested that, since it was 4-4, that would be tabled for the next meeting. That's,
I looked at him at that meeting and said, this gives you an opportunity to do some lobbying and
Right.
talk to your constituents. And
okay, so I need a motion then.
I make a motion on, what is it?
13 or
2013 OR 46, that we decline the,
Can't make any,
oh, how do we?
Make a motion
To
to
approve
approve.
it.
To approve it to be a motion to be declined.
Let it die.
I'm sorry?
Let it die. Don't make a motion.
Well, it'll just,
It'll come back.
it'll come back.
Second? Anybody going second?
Yeah, I'll second. And I'd like to make a comment, too.
Okay, wait a second. We have a motion and a second for the ordinance changing the zoning map designation of this mini storage unit. Questions and comments?
All right, so moving into a C2 zoning, when you do that, a storage unit is a special use exception. So it has to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And really, the Board of Zoning Appeals, that's where they could have put stipulations on this business to make sure it looks a certain way, that the fence wasn't a chain link fence with barbed wire along the top, or that there'd be certain green space or buffering, and then they really didn't do that. And because of that, I'm against this rezoning. I think that was the place to do that. I wish they would have, but they didn't.
At the last meeting, I voted for the zoning change because I generally believe that if you own a piece of property or rent a piece of property, you should be able to do with it what you please. But I've received no less than 10 emails complaining about this zoning change, so I'll be changing my vote this time.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Now, let's do this right because we're voting for it. So if you're not
The motion
for
is
it,
to approve
the
it.
motion is
Right.
to approve it. So if you're not going to approve it, do not vote for it, okay? So, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed?
We thought you were going.
Motion fails. All right. Ms. Deering?
Requesting approval of 2013 OR 48 on the third and final reading. This was also advertised as a public hearing for tonight.
oh,
And we don't have any additions that we can add to this? We'll have to advertise for the future, correct?
Yes. Okay, wait a second. I have to hold on.
What are you looking for?
I missed the public hearing.
Is it 2013 OR 48?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to approve to
Wait, we
2013.
gotta have a public
public
hearing.
hearing.
There's no, this is on a third reading.
Oh, I had made an error. I forgot to put it down.
She
as
had to have the
public
public hearing. before.
I'm sorry, okay.
That's okay. This is a public hearing as well for the ordinance of additional appropriation. It's been passed on the first and second reading. Is there anyone here who wants to speak for or against this ordinance? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Yeah, you can.
Now I'll make a motion to approve 2013 OR 48 on the third and final reading. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve 2013 OR 48 on the third and final reading. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Lewis.
We're buzzing through this.
quick meeting.
Good job, girl.
Keep
it going.
Be out of here.
This was ordinance 2013 OR 49. It was passed on the first reading. It was an ordinance repealing ordinance 85-OR 35 and authorizing the promotion of city business. And this was due to the fact that prior, to a State Board of Account ruling that we had a prior ordinance from '85, which just said that we can appropriate funds for city promotions, but pursuant to State Board of Accounts rules since that old ordinance, it said you have to kind of specify what is authorized to be used for city promotions. So I prepared something with some fairly standard language pursuant to the State Board of Accounts as far as what items can be allocated to be used for city promotions. There was one item in there in the original draft I had about, I wasn't sure on some of the direction I was getting about using meals for promotions. So originally I had some language in there saying that we were not going to use the payment of meals as a city promotion, and I was asked to kind of change that language because there was some other concerns that we still wanted to use that. So what I did, like I said, I didn't have any specific direction, but this is just one change I made to paragraph 3. Like I said, I'm looking for guidance from you guys for anything specific, but I made somewhat of a change. I think the way it was indicated to me, there was a concern about the meals that were being used for city promotions, that were being used in-house, being used only by city employees or city officials. So I added something here. Let's see if this is kind of consistent with some of the intent. Just on that paragraph 3, changing that the language will say that expenses for promotional meals shall not be incurred for the sole benefit of any city employees or city officials, but must be incurred for the promotion of city business with persons or groups outside of city government. That still may not be exactly how you want that worded. Obviously, this is just presented for a second reading. It's open for discussion or some more guidance on how you want that language to be a little bit more restrictive or...
How's that compare to our credit card thing? Because we went through all this with that.
With a credit card, yeah.
Yeah, the credit, and I looked at the credit card ordinance for some guidance, but there's some provisions there that may not be applicable to this, because it says that using a city credit card, it's not to be used for meals outside of 50 miles, or within 50 miles of the city, unless it's a person visiting the city and there's a $50 maximum per person. So I wasn't sure if that would really apply to a city promotion when you have like a large group. So like I said, I don't think the provision we had in the credit card ordinance would really be applicable if you're doing a promotion to a group of people that are in for city business. It's slightly different.
I'll make a motion we pass in second reading, 2013 OR 49 on a second reading. Second.
Have a motion and a second to pass 2013 OR, what is this? 49 on the second reading. Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment. Scott, I know we've had several issues that weren't defined as far as, we tried to address it early on for donations, because we're getting more and more people wanting to donate. We've had things in claims that, is there any way we can, I don't know how to, as long as you donate, it has to have something that, where if it's like a sponsorship or an ad or something that promotes the city, that we can put the city logo on, but not just like to donate to, just art
Well, there was some
association,
language,
something like that, that,
when you say donations, you're saying expending like for promotional of the city. And I know that was concerned that we wanted the promotional language to be the city of Jeffersonville or the government of city of Jeffersonville, not identifying. I mean, we can add that too if you want the city seal, but I think that was one thing that this does say that I'd mentioned when we passed on the first reading, was that we weren't going to say that the promotional material that's being spent is for or from one particular office or office holder. Whether the council, the mayor, or the city clerk, that it would be the city of Jeffersonville. I mean, if you want something more specific, we can, if you want me to add that you want a city seal
will
with
that
that, or-
encompass donations, people, approaching the city for donations, letters of donating, like to specific groups, or?
You mean letters of donation?
I support things where the taxpayers can see that if they could put the seal on, they know where their money's spent, but if you're giving $100 to debate team or things like that that don't really promote the city, does that make sense? I guess.
Instead of giving a
Not
cash...
coming out right.
Instead of giving a cash donation, you're wanting like a donation for a sign or ad or something else.
Something that can put the city seal on, that the taxpayers know this is where your tax, but it's promoting the city.
Something
where it's going.
visual.
It has to promote this, the city.
You're getting at
if the city chooses to sponsor something, you want it to have the city seal on it, or something that, so people know that's where the money went to. It was.
I feel the taxpayers have a right to know where that's going, how it's.
Okay, the only question I've got would be like, and it may not, well, I guess it would fall under this, Little Leaguers going to out of state. We want to make a donation towards,
Yeah, 'cause
how we going to do that? You know, I know where you're going, and I follow you.
But that's a public thing. I think the public knows that in, I don't know what I'm.
Somebody
would need
that's
some
immersed
way
in the
that the-
debate team would say, well, the city, the debate team's a public thing, we know about the debate team, I mean.
Well, if we just
If you
do
don't
this
follow
on the
Little League baseball,
second
you would never
reading,
know
we
the
would have
rules.
time to
I mean,
digest it and come up with something. How about that?
Just
Since
some
we're
way
just-
that the taxpayers know how their money's being used to promote the city.
Yeah, if we're just doing it on the second reading, we have time to,
Any other questions or comments?
Can I ask a quick question? When you said city clerk, a lot of things I donate, I give money myself, personal money, write a check for, do stuff. I never use city money for that. So,
This would not apply.
Yeah, this would not apply. This is like, yeah, this is
I just want to make
a
sure.
public taxpayer budget or a line item for, yeah, not personal money that any office holder does personally. This is just city
just wanted to make
funds
sure that
that are
was-
being used for city promotions.
Right. Have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 2013-149 on the second reading. Any other questions or comments?
Is this for all promotion lines throughout the budget?
There cannot be a promotion line unless we make it, and the only ones, this would be it. They have to be formed by ordinance, and that was part of what the State Board of Accounts told us,
Right.
that some of those were not formed by ordinance.
They mentioned the HR had a promotion line, but not an ordinance for it. So I didn't know if this was.
Scott?
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing I thought we talked about, to clean it up, to make sure that you have one city promotion budget.
Yeah.
And that, in line with the State Board of Accounts, instead of having all these multiple ones, and then stating what expenses can be incurred from that.
Right.
I think there's a difference though in, when HR has a promotional budget, don't they have a promotional budget to promote? What do they use that for? Let me ask.
Could be a job fair, it could be a career fair, it could be anything.
A
in that
job
line.
posting, promoting a job
He only had
posting.
like $500 in it, and it was for like
Maybe that was just, I think what Matt's getting at, maybe that the verbiage is incorrect when it says promotional. It's not under a city promotion. It may be more like advertising or like advertising job positions. Is that what you're getting at?
No, I don't think that's what it's used
Okay.
for.
I had a promotion line in my budget, but I just transferred it because there's no ordinance saying how I can spend it.
Yeah, I mean, that's why, and this language here
I
is,
don't think that Human
comes right from the State
Resources
Board of
has a
Accounts
lot of
rules.
money. Do you know how much money she has in that?
I think it was just something to.
Like $500, it wasn't much. So, yeah, and so that does need to come out of there, or it needs to be transferred to something else or renamed. Okay, I have
Parks have a promotional budget?
I have no idea.
we've got time to look at
Okay.
it, just be in the second reading.
I have a motion to approve again on first and second reading. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Lewis.
These people are gonna be on this.
There are 9. It's a 9-member board. There's 1 from the council.
One from the council,
Yes.
and one from administration.
yes, this was placed on the agenda regarding to override the mayor's veto of ordinance 2013-R-33. And this was the resolution supporting the initial planning of a proposed marina project within the city of Jeffersonville, which the council passed at our November 4th meeting, which was our previous regular meeting. And I believe the mayor vetoed that apparently on November 7th.
Right. Okay, I do not know if we have the votes to override, but do we have a motion to?
I'll make a motion, and I'm gonna make a comment too.
Okay, well, okay.
Make a motion.
I have a second?
It's override the veto.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Questions, comments?
Okay. Obviously, I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I don't know what happened with this. I guess it was very controversial. But when I read this, all this is really saying is that the council supports the marina project, and we want to get a little more detail before finalizing the plan. And so I don't understand how controversial this is. Also, when you look at what our authority and responsibilities are as a council, as it relates to approving plans for the redevelopment projects, as a fiscal body, we don't approve the dollars, we approve the plan when it comes to redevelopment, which is a little different than than what we usually do. So when that plan, if it's very general, we are basically saying there's no dollar amount designated, and we don't know for sure what that end result of that plan is going to be. If we approve a very detailed plan, we know exactly what it is, unless it's substantially changed. And if it substantially changes, then it has to come back to us to get approved again. Is that correct, Scott?
That would be correct.
So it makes sense, to me, maybe not to everybody, to say before I'm going to approve a plan of this plan, which is, has not been approved by the Corps of Engineers, and there's still public comment. To me, it makes sense that until we have a detailed plan laying this all out, I'm not comfortable doing it, saying yes to the plan. And when I look back in history to the development of the marina plan, which again, I think our downtown marina needs an overhaul big time. So I do support it in general, but when it first came to us, it was talked about as being $500,000. And then when redevelopment put a series of plans together, it was $700,000. Now it's 2.2 or 2.3 million, and that's probably closer to realistic what needs to get done. I don't know, but I'm just saying it's evolved to that point. So I guess for me, I as a fiscal body and as far as our authority and responsibility relates to it, I want a detailed plan so I know what it is I'm voting for, not a general plan that could be 2.3 and maybe balloon to 3.3.
Yeah, and I think what Mr. Zastogny is referring to is the fact that the plans are not attached to this ordinance. Is that correct, Mr. Lewis? It just says a marina project.
The ordinance that previously was submitted, yeah, I don't believe it included those detailed plans. I mean, I think if that ordinance was rewritten, that identified specifically what we're approving, and that if somehow those plans change or are not approved by the Corps or so forth, then any changes would have to come back. I think you could do that and accomplish that. It would just have to be rewritten than what's been previously presented to us.
And I totally agree with that. I would support if you actually put the two together and make that part of the ordinance so we know this is the plan. And then if it substantially changes, it'd have to come back to us anyway. So, but if we just say a marina project, okay.
And I think that's our job, is to look at the fiscal and the planning of this and the total package, and we're in support of it. I think unanimously we're in support of it. We just want...
So then from this point, from here on, when we amend the plan, we expect to see detailed plans, in the ordinance?
That's
when
what we're supposed...
When it comes to redevelopment, yes.
Well, I'm just asking because that's not what we've done in the past. We did not have detailed plans in an ordinance when we approved the police station. We approved the concept of having a police station.
Well, I saw
the plans.
They were not attached to...
They weren't attached to the ordinance, is what he's saying.
I saw plans for this project.
That might be why the price kept going up.
I didn't see any plans for this.
Yeah, but we did for Alice Brook. Maybe that wasn't attached. Maybe that's something we need to do.
I mean, that's made, and
just
maybe
wanna make
that's
sure
something
we're
to think about
consistent.
going forward, so
Right.
it's not overly broad.
That's a good point. We should have.
Yeah.
That should have been part of it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's how we're going to be. We need to be consistent about it.
Right.
But I think Lisa said it. Maybe that's why the price kept going up and up and up and up.
Well, the only thing I'll say is this really seems kind of redundant to me. I mean, I didn't vote for this resolution, but it says, we basically support the initial planning of the proposed marina, and the mayor says, well, no, I don't want your support, and we're going to override his veto and say, yes, you're going to get our support anyway, so, yeah. It seems a little redundant to me, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm doing this for the mayor's benefit as much as the public, because I want them to know that we do support it.
And let me say,
Well,
And we've told the mayor numerous times. we support
And you have to remember there's grant money attached to this. If you're saying a project is dead, or they killed a project or whatever, and people that are attached to their state or wherever they got their different grants from, that we might be getting a letter we have to pay that money back. Isn't that correct, Scott?
Potentially.
Yeah, right, we received it. Anyway. We have a second?
We had a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments?
I don't,
Okay.
I don't see and didn't see the point of this the first time it came to us. I still don't see the point of it. And I'm going to abstain from the vote. I should have abstained the first time.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Instead of
when I
voting
abstained.
against it.
That's- Like you said, it's a little redundant.
I'll be abstaining.
Which is the same as, if you read in Robert Rules, it's the same as a no vote, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and
It's
take
actually
the
a
vote.
refusal to vote.
Well, it's
Let's vote.
same.
Take the roll call, Vicki.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
I thought we were taking a roll call.
Oh, well, these three already said they're going to abstain.
Well, you still have to make sure you go through
No, no,
the...
Okay,
we haven't
roll call.
voted yet.
Okay, roll call.
Just saying, I'm still up.
Yeah.
Councilperson Zastavny.
Yes.
Councilperson Payne.
Abstention?
Councilperson Gill.
Yes.
Councilperson Glover.
I'll be abstaining.
Council President Sellers.
Yes.
Councilperson Julius.
Yes.
Councilperson Owen.
I'll be abstaining.
Councilperson Samuel.
Yes.
Was there,
5 votes.
Yes, and you need 6 votes, as you
Right.
know, to override a mayor's
Right.
veto.
was there public comment on this subject?
About something else, we'll get to it at the end.
Okay.
Ms. Gill.
I'm going to have Josh come up. Josh is going to give us a report on our National Night Out that we had this year.
How's everybody doing?
I'm great.
Good, how are you?
I'm good. You got a handout. I think I have 9 copies and I've got 10, but I'm going to use this one and then I'll give it to Lisa since it's all wrote on. Back in August, the first Tuesday in August, we did National Night Out for the 3rd year in a row with funding from City Council, so we wanted to come and give you the numbers. So we have a few things to give you. We participated last year in National Night Out and actually won a participation award. That was, we didn't get it right away, but we have it now, so we want to present that to the city. Maybe you guys hang it up at City Hall somewhere, so that's one thing we want to do. Another thing we want to do is we participate this year, and they gave us a patch because they haven't got all the numbers in because Texas does their National Night Out a month later. So they sent this. I think this probably should go to the police department, since it is a police department function. The week after Thanksgiving, we'll know if we won anything for 2013, but I want to read what they sent us for 2012. And it says, this is 2012, so not 2013. This year's events involve 37.5 million people in 15,700 communities from all over the United States. That's 50 states, U.S. territories, military bases worldwide. So we extend our congratulations for being selected among the nation's best. So we want to present that letter to the City of Jeff as well. This year we did 22 neighborhoods. We had over 1,850 attendees. You'll notice on the back a roundabout list of how many people attended everybody's National Night Out. We do plan on attempting another National Night Out next year and keeping that function here in Jeffersonville. I know it had been mentioned maybe we can make this Jeffersonville's own event by Mr. Samuels, but I think with that 37.5 million people, we probably need to stay in that number. That puts us among a pretty good competition. We're winning awards, so congratulations to the City of Jeff and all the neighborhood people that are here. If you'd stand up. So you see that we're very well represented. So.
Congratulations.
Josh. I also want to read this because I received this and the Jeffersonville Council received it. It says, for your continued support, maintaining our city's involvement in the National Night Out event, your support is greatly appreciated. And this is from the North Town Terrace and Creekwood Apartments Residential Council. So anyway, I wanted to read that at this time. Okay. Mr. Chief Hedrick. Is Chief Hedrick here? Josh. Oh, I'm sorry, Josh.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm here to request an additional appropriation from Lloyd for a 20% match to a grant that we received back in 2011. Had almost $248,000 left over in that original grant, and I wrote an amendment to FEMA and was granted the amendment for some additional technical rescue equipment. Hopefully, everybody received an email on this matter and equipment list.
Josh, I got a call from Bruce today, and I just had a couple of questions, and one of the questions, you know, in all this material and training apparatus, I'll say, that we're getting, and I have, don't take me wrong, I have no problem getting this, especially the 20% match. But as this material, a rope, for instance, when we use a rope, from my understanding, you can never use that rope again.
No.
So my question is, you know, are we going to be funding this, all of this apparatus? You know, if we've got $1 million worth of equipment, how much do we need to build into the budget each year for usage of this equipment? Because I don't think we're planning on it.
Replacement costs, maintenance costs,
I mean,
and
we
such.
don't know how much of it we're going to use, when we're going to use it, or when there's going to be a disaster or anything else.
Yeah, with respect, for example, to rope, as long as it's not shock loaded, it can be reused up to about a 10-year shelf life. After that 10 years, you know, we repurpose it for general utility rope, but it can no longer be utilized as life safety rope. So we currently have life safety rope that's on trucks now. However, it's been sporadically logged appropriately, so it can't technically be considered life safety rope. All we're trying to do is I guess, re-augment some of the equipment that we do have. With respect to the big ticket items, the trench rescue, the structural collapse rescue equipment, most of that does not have a 10-year shelf life. Airbags, on the other hand, do. However, within this grant, we are replacing some of our airbags that are 10, 12 years old. They've got about a 15-year shelf life on them now. So really, it's kind of a bonus that we have this, because it is going to replace some of our older equipment that does have a shelf life.
That we'll need to replace anyway here in a couple of years.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. Outside of that, you know, you are going to have some carrying costs with any piece of equipment, but the equipment that we did spec out in this is not, does not have the shelf life as some of the other equipment out there. This is kind of the top of the line stuff, and can easily be reused. One other benefit to this is that it allows us to deploy this equipment very quickly and then go back and restabilize with wood products, lumber and such, that can be left as needed.
Josh, what is the 20%, what's that dollar amount?
It should not exceed $45,000. I would anticipate it'll be closer to about $38,000 to $40,000. Some competitive pricing and
Do you know, I thought it was 45, we're transferring 45 right after you, I guess. Is that a different 45? It's this 45?
I told her just go ahead and put it on, and if it wasn't approved, we could take it off.
But it says we're transferring it into fire vehicles?
Typo, it should be ending in 000, and that's the fire equipment line.
Okay, that helps very much. Thank you. That's all I had.
Josh, when we're buying this equipment, I noticed there was multiple numbers. Is that for all the people that are trained in this type of trench rescue, confined space rescue? Is this to outfit each person, or do we have everybody trained, certain number trained?
Right now, we have a certain number of people trained. The original grant was for technical rescue training, and it was kind of bringing everybody up to ops level and technician level. The way the state of Indiana works, there's 7 technical rescue disciplines, so for each of those, there's 7 operations level classes, 7 technician level classes. The majority of the people that we've been training over the last 3 years, we've gotten up to rope, swift water, vehicle machinery, and confined space rescue. With the addition of some of this equipment, we should be able to go operational on confined space rescue response, if you will, by the first of the year. We have not conducted any trench or structural collapse training. We've not had the equipment to respond in the first place, so it's kind of one of those, which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Having the equipment now, we can actually conduct the necessary training to get up to the trench and structural collapse level. One of the big selling points to FEMA, our original regional director was going to deny this just for the purpose of he thought it could be useful to another community. And one of the big selling points that we made to him was the Bridges project, the Interceptor project, and the various public works projects that we have going on within our city.
I don't have a list in front of me. Is there any high angle with the bridges coming in? Was that included in some of that?
Yeah, most of the equipment that we have now is capable of high angle rope rescue. Some of this is just to augment what we already have. For example, replacing ropes that have not been logged properly, not been really even tagged. I don't know what service state they went in and such. So we're kind of creating a little bit more of an SOP or SOG to make sure that stuff is maintained appropriately.
Where are they pulling it out of?
So we need to make a motion to advertise, right? Is that what we're doing for additional appropriation?
No, that's next.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just a transfer.
I'll make a motion to approve the 20% grant match from Lloyd not to exceed $45,000.
Second.
I have a motion and second to approve the $45,000 for the 20% grant match from Lloyd. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Ms. Deering.
Requesting approval of this transfer request. This is getting us through the end of the year with where we are with our appropriations.
Motion to approve 2013 OR 50.
Second.
First and second.
Is this where the animal shelter needs to come? No?
No, I'll have to bring a resolution next meeting. Might need to suspend the rules to get it to the DLGF by year end too.
Okay. All right. Have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2013 OR
50.
50
Is this on the first and second, I'm sorry?
Yes.
on first and second reading. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Lewis.
What's this one? Cutting off water cutoff. 50 more?
This is a proposed ordinance, which I spoke about last time, to get direction from the council if it's something that you all wanted to pursue. And this was voted as a recommendation from the sewer board previously to pass this on to the city council to recommend that an ordinance be put in place to allow the sewer board to enter into an agreement with Indiana American Water Company to terminate water service of customers who are delinquent with sewer bills to the city. I apologize that this did not get in the packet ahead of time, because in the preparation of the ordinance, I was waiting upon two different things. One thing I did attach is a copy of the proposed water service termination agreement that if eventually this ordinance is approved by the city council, then pursuant to the statute, the agreement is approved and executed by the sewer board with Indiana American Water. So there were some revisions I was working with the attorney from Indiana American Water. I did not have that before the packet went out, but also I uncovered something that I had to add to this ordinance, and I was waiting on some language from some attorneys, that there was a court case recently with the town of Crawfordsville who implemented such an ordinance, and there was a ruling from a federal court case that struck it down unless there was a provision about an appeal process. That even though the statute allows this, the Indiana Code is silent about an appeal process, but this federal ruling basically said you got to put this in here. So I was waiting for some language back from attorneys that were involved in that case, and I included it in this proposed ordinance. So I know you haven't had time to look at it yet, but I was waiting to make sure that everything is going to be correct, especially in lieu of that federal court ruling. But in essence, Indiana Code 36-9-23-6-D specifically allows sanitary sewer board to enter into an agreement with a water utility provider to terminate that or discontinue the water service for delinquent sewer users. Now, technically, the way the statute is written and what most other cities and towns in Indiana that have this ordinance, I know before you said you would like to see something specific like a dollar amount and like minimum amounts or minimum time period of delinquencies. Normally, the way it's written is that the city council authorizes the sewer board to enter into the agreement, and then the sewer board determines through their policy the minimum dollar amounts or minimum number of months of delinquency, because it kind of gives them flexibility that if it's not working, then they can change that and adjust that without coming back through an ordinance process, because sometimes, depending upon circumstances, they may need to adjust that up or down. So normally the way the statute is, they kind of determine that. You're just given the authorization for that to happen. So the key provision that allows the appeal process pursuant to this court case, if you kind of read down, it's the bottom paragraph of page 1 and the top paragraph of page 2, that basically says that a person that gets one of these disconnection notices, that within 7 days that they would appeal to, normally it's your wastewater department superintendent, that person is considered a hearing officer. They receive the appeal for an extension date when the water would become subject to discontinue, and you set forth in detail if this water user or sewer user has extraordinary hardships or other unavoidable circumstances. So it allows that person to appeal to the wastewater department superintendent, and then that superintendent may grant or deny such request in whole or in part, or require partial payments. Then you have a second layer pursuant to this recommendation from the federal court case, then that you have a second appeal process of this hearing officer that normally is the department head, that you come before the governing board, which would be the sanitary sewer board. So then if they don't like with the wastewater department head, the decision they have on this requested hardship, then you come before the sewer board and they have an opportunity then to appeal that decision. So basically, talking to the other attorneys that were involved in that case and some other municipalities, the language that I've put in here is the language that they have used that they believe is in compliance with that federal court case to allow this appeal process. In essence, then, what you would be approving, of course, this is only introduced for first reading. Obviously, it's not for all 3 readings, but you would be authorizing them to enter into the agreement, and in essence, the agreement is attached. The fee is $65 that Indiana American Water would charge the sewer department for each disconnection, but that $65 pursuant to the statute is added to the delinquent amount. So technically, if someone pays the fee to get the water reconnected, that $65 they would be paying that in addition to their delinquent sewer bill. So technically, there's not money that is being paid out by the sewer department because they're collecting it with the disconnection fee of $65. So they are recouping that. So the sewer department would not be out any money as far as paying contractual amounts to Indiana American Water. It's collected from the delinquent user. And in the necessity of this, as you've seen in the news, obviously there's large amounts of delinquent sewer bills that are owed to the sewer department, and they've tried various ways of courtesy letters. We do the sewer liens. The sewer liens are attached to property tax bills, and they do county tax sales. Sometimes that is an effective way, but sometimes the county doesn't always do their tax sales, and there's only so many liens physically that the billing office can produce per year. So this is an additional enforcement mechanism to make sure that we're collecting as much money as possible for all the expenses that are incurred
Scott, who
all
set,
the sewer services.
who set the $65, the water company?
That is pursuant to that's their standard fee that they charge, yes. And
We'll
that's,
collect that back.
Yeah.
that's a standard fee that's in all of their contracts. And before, they had approached the sewer board a couple years ago regarding this, and at the time, they were requiring a minimum amount of disconnects per month. And at that time, the sewer board would not agree, they did not want to agree to a minimum. Because, hopefully it would be nice if we would never have to implement this procedure. But I think the last you heard, sometimes we're reaching $800, $900 million in late fees or late sewer payments that are not being paid. So that's a lot of money.
And-
So basically, the $65, that's a fee that comes from Indiana American Water.
And just so you know, whenever they file a lien with the county building, there's a fee there to put the lien on and also to
Release the lien, yeah, there's a standard
And that
government
gets
filing
the-
fee.
Yeah, and I can't remember how much that is, but we had to do that code enforcement. It was
Yeah.
$30, $35 maybe. So,
Scott, my concern is, this is with the Indiana American Water, but we've got Riverside Water, we've got Watson, we've got Sellersburg Water within the city that use it. We're just singling it, we're only going to a certain, I just don't see how that's
Well,
fair.
because as of now, the other water companies, they're not offering that service to shut off the water. I mean, that's...
this is probably the biggest one.
You can't, yeah, here's the thing, like those other smaller water companies, I mean, if they approach and want to enter into that agreement, the sewer board obviously would do that, but at this point in time, see, we can't force a water company to do it. It has to be voluntary by the water company. It's a voluntary arrangement by both entities, both the city and the water
Lisa,
company.
it might be something too,
So-
that we could go to the water companies
Say
and
they
tell them that
approach.
we've already got an agreement with Indiana American, would you?
I would feel better doing that before we vote on
Right.
giving it to one area.
I can't-
I don't think that that's right to,
I can't vote to shut off somebody in Mike's district, shut off their water, but if somebody in Brian's district doesn't pay their sewer bill, they just have a lien put on their house without losing their water.
But here's a concern of mine, Scott, not to change the subject, but has anybody else in the county signed off on this? Are there any other communities in the county done this?
I'm not aware. I don't know. I'm not saying they haven't. I'm not aware.
Because here's my fear. It says pursuant to Indiana Code, water service may not be shut off under this selection if a local board of health has found and certified to the municipality that determination of water service will endanger the health of the user and others in the municipality.
Yes, that's
So
a
that would go to
statutory
Clark County
provision.
Board of Health, correct? So if they're not on board with this, then they're going to be the overall deciding factor whether we can shut it off or not. I would think that we need to make sure that they're on board with this before we would approve it. Does that not make sense? I mean,
How does it work when because water companies shut their water off for non-payment all the time
Yeah, for themselves,
for
yeah.
themselves? So, I mean, I would imagine that statute's in there for them having to do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why that's in there, I put that in there because that Indiana Code does require that statement in these type of ordinances, so.
and here's my only other problem with this. I believe it can be worked on, but if you look at hypothetically, if there's a $180 sewer bill owed to the city, and then, of course, the water bill is shut off, and let's say they owed $180 to the water bill also. Well, we're going to pay that water company $65, so they're recouping some of their cost. So we take that $65 loss and add it to the $180 sewer loss that we had. We've just increased our
taking on
loss.
some of their
And we
debt.
don't know that we're getting any of that money back.
Well, you'll get it back because it'll go on a lien against the house. So if the house is ever sold, if it's even a rental house, before the landlord can sell the house, that has to be satisfied.
So in that scenario, you're not punishing the person who that didn't pay the payment.
They're gonna have to
You're
pay it
punishing the
anyway,
person
Brian. I
who's
mean, I've been
selling
through
the
this 100 times.
Yeah.
I usually have to eat it. The problem is, from the landowner's point of view, if I lease it out, unless I check my tenants every 6 months, I have no way of knowing if they're paying their sewer bill until I get a lien letter from the sewer department saying your tenant is behind on. There's been lawsuits over this. That your tenant hasn't paid his sewer bill. I'll get them for $1,000 sometimes. And then
You're still not in jail.
I pay it, I gotta pay it. Yeah, I should, I'm telling you, it's close.
I guess it sounds great, but when I look at it, is it really going to be a deterrent for people not paying sewer bills? I don't know. I mean,
I think
I would
what
like to see
happened
the
is
track record that says, yes, this is working, or no, it's not.
I think what happens is, it's a conduit to get the information out to the proper people. I think that's the biggest thing, because if they go 6 months and they still haven't turned off any utilities, water, so on, they're gonna keep living there. If they go 3 months and they're delinquent and they turn the water off, you can bet you they're gonna be looking for another place. They may not pay it, but the landlord will pay it.
Fair enough, okay.
And to be honest, that also helps the landlord because it gets done quicker so they know. I know there was one in my neighborhood and it went for a year and he did not, and he was very upset.
Oh, yeah.
And he did not want to pay his sewer bill, and of course they had to because of the lawsuit that went to the state. So it falls on the landlords. So this would really be helpful to them and let them know quicker. If it's a landlord. So I don't know how many of these are rentals and how many of these are homeowners, so.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
if
there's
you
a
rentals,
bunch. Oh, it's probably mainly rentals.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, I don't have the exact breakdown, but I think the majority is, the information that we have is rental property.
I'll make a motion to approve OR 2013-51, first and second.
Second.
have a motion to pass ordinance 2013 OR 51 on the first and second reading. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, let's do a thing, because I
Roll call.
cannot tell.
Yeah, I couldn't tell either.
Councilperson Sestavny.
Yes.
Councilperson Payne.
No.
Councilperson Gill.
No.
Councilperson Glover.
Yes.
Council President Sellers.
Yes.
Council Vice President Julius.
Yes.
Councilperson Owen.
No.
Councilperson Samuel.
Yes. Didn't pass.
5 yeses.
You can get 5 yeses. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Brian.
5. Yeah.
Where's Brian?
Brian today?
Yeah.
Yes. Brian's
Got
district
3
doesn't have
noes.
Indian American water, so it's no skin off his back.
Oh, that's right. He's got Watson water and...
Their district doesn't have Indian American water, so none of your residents are going to be
Pay our
upset.
bills, I'm sorry.
Okay, and the last thing we have is make an appointment for the 911 board.
Yeah, honestly, I'm interested in this appointment, but I think there's more support for Councilperson Smith. This is what I do, is 911 response through the EMS and the fire company, but historically, Mr. Smith has had the support for this sort of endeavor. So I'll let somebody else make a nomination.
Get an appointment.
Well, I mean, since Matt's showing an interest in it, I mean, I'll nominate Matt to appoint him to the fiscal 911 board.
Second.
Okay, do you have any other nominations?
Nominate Mike Smith. Second.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this.
Get Mike Smith
Okay.
seconded.
Did you want to say something?
I just think it's hard with Mike, I mean, he's gone to the,
Well, he's told us all before he's interested, so.
I really think we voted on this. I know it's, Matt, I know you probably did your due diligence, but I'd like to ask the clerk to double check her notes or records or something, because, I mean, I remember voting on Mike to be on, maybe it's a different, there are 2 911 boards and he's on the other one?
We elected Mike to represent the council in putting together the ordinance.
Oh, the
or
steering
structuring the
steering
boards.
committee,
Yes.
okay.
But wasn't
I'm
for the actual board.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we'll have to do this like we do other nominations and just start with Mr. Zastobny and say the name. That's the only way we can do it.
Okay.
Mike Smith.
Matt Owen.
I hate this because I haven't had a chance, can I just abstain?
Yeah, you can abstain.
Okay.
Matt Owen.
Mike Smith.
Mike.
Matt Owen.
Mike Smith.
Hold on a second.
Could you keep up?
No,
No, I cannot keep up with you all.
We'll have to wait for Mike to come back, maybe we'll go
Yeah,
back 3-0.
she didn't.
We're 3-0.
4-3-1.
Oh, yeah.
4-3 is not a majority, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Gonna have to wait.
Okay. No one?
No one.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm signing here. I think this is the rezoning. Just a second.
You should have
We
signed
have
it.
public comment. Brian Gordon. And this is referring to the boat dock and the letter, eviction letter that was sent out.
Good evening, council. I'm Brian Gordon of
been residing down on the boat docks on Dock 37 for the past 20 years. First, I want to thank the council. I know many of you are supportive of the dock renters dilemma that we're going through down there with this latest eviction notice that we got.
Sir, could you give your address for the record, please?
I'm at Boat Dock 37 on Riverside Drive. It's P.O. Box 507.
Okay, thank you.
Jeffersonville. So I'm here tonight as a representative of the dock renters to voice our displeasure with the latest letter that we received from the Parks Department indicating that we must vacate the boat docks by November 30th. The letter we received dated 11/8 of this year is in complete contradiction to the letter we received in September dated 9/13, indicating we could stay through March of next year. We emailed our formal complaint to the City Council today. I have a copy with me that I would like to read into the public record if the council will allow.
And do you have a copy of that so that she can have it?
I do. We have a copy that some of us have signed. This is, now will the mayor get this, or do I need to do a separate
We can,
issuance to the mayor?
if you only have one copy, she can make a copy and...
No, I have one here.
Okay.
Is that in addition to?
It's the same. That one just has a few sentences.
Yeah, it's a copy. Yeah.
Give me that one, please.
That's the original.
Can I make
Once
sure?
you give her the original, I can, if you have a
I'll
copy,
make
that's fine.
sure.
If not, I can get a copy.
I'll give him a copy tomorrow. That's okay.
If anybody needs to take a bathroom break, I'd do it right now. This turned out a little longer than we'd intended.
Yeah.
That's all right. So this is dated November 18th, 2013. It was addressed to the Jeffersonville City Council, City Hall. It's regarding the Jeffersonville Marina. It's our response to the letter of 11/8, signed by Paul Northam. Dear Council, tenants at the City Marina have joined together to respond to the most recent correspondence received from the city and signed by Paul Northam in his capacity as Director of Parks and Recreation. That letter, dated November 8, 2013, states that because the City Council has refused to approve funding for dock renovations, the existing docks are deemed a public safety threat, and thus the city is terminating all leases effective November 30th, 2013, and evicting all tenants, including those leasing year-round. This letter and the new stance announced is in direct contravention of the city's verbal agreement from May 2013 with a committee of tenants that the docks would not be closed in the city's written correspondence of September 13th this year, again signed by Mr. Northam, confirming the prior verbal agreement and specifically stating if you were a yearly renter in 2012 and wish to stay a yearly renter through March of 2014, you may do so at no extra cost. That letter further provided that all seasonal renters are welcome to return in the spring of 2014. The new stance also seems to contradict both the language and intent of the marina policies and rental agreement. Twice this year, dock tenants have been specifically assured by city officials, including the mayor, that the docks were remaining open and tenants, specifically including year-round tenants, were welcome to remain. The tenants in general, and most particularly the year-round tenants, reasonably relied on these representations and did not make alternate arrangements for the winter or next season. This leaves the year-round tenants in an impossible position. Their winter preparations were based on belief in the truth and integrity of the city's representations. Now, with roughly 2 weeks' notice by the time the communication was received, they are required to move their vessels and homes, and they have nowhere to go. Marinas with large vessel slips fill up rapidly, even before this time of year. The prior representations of city officials, coupled with the tenants' reasonable reliance on these representations, serve to prevent the city's current stance from being supportable or enforceable. The specific terms of the marina policies and rental agreement also defeat the effort to evict the dock tenants. The rental agreement, Section 2, uses an occupancy, paragraph 2, specifically states that the tenants agree that the rental of dock space entails no warranty of any kind as to the condition of the piers, walkways, gangways, ramps, boat walk, or mooring gear, and continues with the specific provision that nor shall marina be responsible for injuries to persons or property occurring upon marina property for any reason. Pursuant to Section 6, all tenants must carry $500,000 of liability insurance, naming the marina and the city as an additional insured. Further, Section 8, construction and maintenance of dockage, requires that all docks, additions, alterations, or improvements shall be constructed by the tenant. Tenants are required, pursuant to Section 8, Paragraph 4, to make all repairs and replacements to and shall keep clean, neat, safe, sanitary, and good order, repair, and condition the dockage space. The marina's solution recourse, should the tenants not keep their docks in safe, good condition, is clearly and unequivocally spelled out in paragraph 6 of that section. It provides, if the tenant fails to adequately repair or maintain the demised dockage space, the city, at its sole discretion, may perform needed repairs or maintenance and charge any incurred cost as additional rent. No tenants have been asked to make so much as a single repair. The rental agreement is very clear. Docks are built and maintained by the tenants, and the city and marina have no liability for the docks, even though they are named insureds on all tenants' liability insurance policies. The city's recourse is to advise the tenant to repair a dock and charge the tenant for it. Should the city repair it on their own, nowhere does the contract mention deeming without any documentation or evidence whatsoever that all docks are a threat to public safety. There is no definition of a standard for deeming docks, which are posted by the city as being located in a restricted area as a safety threat. Where a policy is established by not only a writing but also a course of conduct, it cannot be changed in the manner currently being attempted. It also bears noting that the docks rented to tenants are maintained and regularly repaired. Those unrepaired are virtually all unrented property under the sole control of the city. The docks shown on television and mayoral press conferences are not rented and are city responsibility. The neglect is not the tenants, and it is a violation of contract as well as manifestly unfair to attempt to blame them. Dock tenants expend thousands of dollars over and above the rental cost maintaining and improving the docks, the riverfront, road, hillside in order to provide a safe and attractive environment. There are many additional points, both legal and equitable, which could be made on this matter, but time constraints require a conclusion. One final point to consider. The water has not risen above the docks so as to change any dock conditions since this year's leases were entered. Thus, if deemed unsafe, they were in the same condition in early spring when the city and marina entered contracts and took the tenants' money. The dock renters believe that the rented docks are not unsafe, and there is no evidence to the contrary. The tenants are leased a 20-foot stretch of riverfront. The tenants built and have maintained the docks for decades, holding the city harmless and even insuring the city in the event of a claim. The tenants' docks are maintained. For these and many additional reasons, the tenants request the council to affirmatively reject the correspondence of November 8th, 2013, signed by the Parks Recreation Director, and leave the marina open as previously promised. So we feel, well, let me say that now, I even went down myself, since the police chief was on record as saying anybody can tell these docks are unsafe. So I went down and did my own dock inspection. I've only been down there 20 years. I think I know what's safe and not safe. I can jump up and down, 38 docks are down there. Docks, fingers, some don't have fingers, but docks and fingers. 4 I would deem unsafe. 2 of them are in our property, are in the restricted area, and were rented this year. One of them has 2 boards missing. One of them is a little spongy on one end of one platform dock out front. Keep in mind, we did absolutely no maintenance this year because we did not know what our status was going to be. So nobody spent a dime. The other 2 are those 2 docks on the downriver side of the ramp. And they're really, besides the fact that they've caved in, they're still, well, one's real twisted, the other one's structurally sound, but it's caved in. Be my guest, you guys go down there and look all you want. Several of the docks are pristine, as fine a dock finger that you're going to find on the river. If those are unsafe, there's not a safe dock on the river. Some of them are old. They do go underwater, they do need to be replaced, but they're not, in my opinion, unsafe. They just are not visually pleasing. So I guess...
Are those the ones that are not occupied?
It's a combination. Some of them are, some of them aren't. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to just rip the top wood off of a dock that's still safe just because it's moldy and aged. We do have some fingers down there that don't go all the way to the land. You know, there are some that have fallen away, and I maintain those are no safety threat to the public because you can't get to them. And they're still in good shape. There is one down on the end by Jeff Boat that's out there. It's a platform, and it needs to go, but it was not rented this previous year. So I don't know where they're coming up with this unsafe. All of a sudden, everything's unsafe. So I guess what we're asking in lieu of that letter that I just read, is we are urging the city council to pass a resolution voiding the letter that we received from the Parks Department dated 11/8, and allow us to remain in our docks through March of 2014.
I'm going to say something about that. Well, let me say that the Parks Authority did not direct Paul Northam to write any letter. It was at the mayor's direction that letter was written and sent without knowledge of the Parks Authority. So I hate that happened because it makes it look like it is the Parks Department, but it's not. It was directed by the mayor. But it was done that way because Paul Northam has been communicating with the people down there since the very beginning. So the mayor felt like it should have come from Paul Northam. And that may be true, but it shouldn't have implied that it was done through the Parks Authority, and I think that's wrong.
No, and I agree, because the contract is not with the Parks Authority, the contract is with the executive of the city, and he's the one who makes that decision. It is not the Parks Authority, and it is not the council. Unfortunately, we can't override this because it's totally out of our hands. But I understand your confusion because I have the letter from September 13th in front of me.
I don't want to disagree with you, but I don't think I'm confused as to who we're renting from. And if I may, agreement by and between City of Jeffersonville, Indiana, by and through its Parks and Recreation Department, in parentheses, the marina, and the undersigned owner, in parentheses. When I read this agreement, anytime I see marina, I can only infer that it's the Parks and Recreation Department. And when it says the City of Jeffersonville, in my mind, that's the City Council.
No, that's the
What
mayor.
it says is the Parks and Recreation Department is the entity that administers the fee program, not the whole marina. If you read that, by no means am I agreeing with that decision by any means. But it says that the agreement is with the City of Jeffersonville.
By and through its Parks
And by and through is the Parks and Recreation is the entity that administers the fees, that collects the fees. They don't administer the docks or the marina. They're just the entity that collects the fees. But City of Jeffersonville, this board, the council is not, quote, they're the fiscal legislative body, but any sort of contractual agreement that says City of Jeffersonville, that's the executive side of the city, which is the mayor. This board does not enter into agreements. Technically, by statute, the only contract they can enter into is for legal services as their attorney. They're not a contracting authority. Technically, the mayor's a contract authority, board of public works or whatnot. So, I mean,
That was one of the first questions that we asked, is there
Right.
something that we can do?
Well, there is something that I will say to the owners, if you read that, I read through those policies and the agreement. There is, I can't remember what paragraph, it does say that any action taken, I'm kind of quoting and paraphrasing, it says any action taken under that agreement, whatever, can be appealed to the Board of Public Works.
Board of Public Works.
Yeah, so, because I know Councilman Smith had asked, he came to my office and we went through all those provisions. So one thing I said, and unfortunately, like I said, I in no way am endorsing the decision of the eviction, but if you read the agreement, there is a clause there that says the city can terminate that agreement with or without cause. A 20-day written notice, so they don't even need a reason. I'm not justifying it, I'm just saying legally.
I think that's a pretty bad cop-out that, I mean, there's something going on.
Well, I'm not,
And they want us out.
We need to talk to Mr. Berkeley, he's the mayor's attorney, because that decision, I mean, I'm not.
It's not
that
the
decision
council.
was not my decision, it was not this council's decision.
It was not the city council's decision.
And Mr. Berkeley is the mayor's
It was the
attorney.
mayor's position.
I don't speak for the mayor, so, but and I'm very sympathetic, because what I'm saying is there is a provision, and I don't know what the outcome would be.
Well, the only thing I know
Working
to
on
do is
10
since I'm
minutes
getting
instead of
letters
3.
from the Parks Department.
Just so you
Well,
know.
I think that...
And we feel like we've been harmed by, I mean, we trusted that
Policy.
letter in September, and we did nothing.
I'm not arguing with you, but there's a
Right.
provision there that I would recommend it going to the Board of Public Works.
And we will.
I would recommend.
Right. That's really your only option,
Just-
because we can't, we
We could
can't-
take action, we would.
Yeah, because we can't. One thing I would like to say, even before our last meeting, when we voted not to do the funding until we get the permits, even on that Friday, the mayor put in the Courier Journal that he said it's up to the council, the old docks are being torn out regardless of whether we approve it or not. So that was already in his mind, and that was before our Monday meeting when we voted on it. So evidently, it wouldn't have mattered how we voted on it, that was going to be his decision. And there's really nothing that we can do about it. And I'm very upset over it because I know that there's going to be people displaced.
Well, I mean, my wife's been here 35 years.
Yeah.
Marty, we've got people down there 40 years. And if you guys can't do anything about this, then I'm wasting my breath. But there's several people that have been down there spent their lives on the river. They're so tired of what we've been put through down here for years. Everybody's stuck it out. They're going to sell their boat and get off the river. I mean, this is going to completely change people's lives, and it's so unfortunate. 100 years worth of Jeffersonville history. This town was built off that river. We used to have boat docks all the way down to the Kennedy Bridge. But they've slowly taken those away and left us with this little strip, and now we're going to lose that too. It's astounding. It's astounding. Well, thank you for your time.
And I'm sorry.
I spoke with Mr. Burke, I asked him when the next Board of Public Works meeting is. He says it's this Wednesday.
This Wednesday.
At 9:30 a.m. in the mayor's conference room on the second floor. So because that agreement says you have the right to appeal before the Board of Public Works of any action taken under that agreement, I would recommend that.
And I wish I'd have never asked who was on the Board of Public Works.
I'm just letting you know that there is no actual recourse that you may want to pursue, or other owners who are hearing this, that the Board of Public Works. It's an agreement.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And we do appreciate the comments we've been reading in the papers, and y'all's support.
All right. Council comments, Mr. Zestovny?
I just want to make a couple comments. I just got back from Seattle for the National League of Cities convention. A lot of interesting speakers, a lot of interesting topics. Just to give you a couple interesting points, I guess, a couple things I saw or noticed is a lot of communities our size or bigger have offices of sustainability. So don't be surprised if that kind of starts coming down. Sustainability is it's a way to measure cities' progress as it comes to economically, environmentally, from an equality standpoint, and there's a third party who measures cities on their star ratings, 1 through 5. So I just want to throw that. Heard that a lot. Yeah. Just heard that a lot. They're pushing that a lot. A couple other interesting things. Making your city more business friendly. They talked about when a business comes looking for tax abatements or special rules when it comes to zoning, to consider putting some money or having that business put some equity towards startups or mid-startups businesses, so that we just don't always go for the big guys, but encourage entrepreneurship in our city. I thought that was pretty good. Also, that in that regard, ask them to start angel funds or try to put an angel fund together to fund some startups. The benefits that they get, just start a little fund, or even ask for donors within your community to try to keep startups happening. Talked about uncertainty and exploring new ways to approach and deliver local government solutions. Talked about planning with that, and it's kind of interesting. They have this whole diagram called the cone of uncertainty, and there's 5 different areas to look at: social, technological, environmental, economical, and political, and how your city would change over the next 10 years. You know, more immigration, less immigration. What kind of jobs are going to be here? What kind of needs would be here? And then start planning for the resources to be spent in that direction. Also, when it comes to delivering local government solutions, they talked about subcontracting some of those options out, and I mentioned that in our meeting earlier today about planning and zoning, finance. Some cities subcontract a lot of those things out. So anyway, it's a good conference. If you ever have a chance to go, I encourage as many council people, mayor, administration to go. I know I know Les got to go. I'll keep it short. There's a lot more I could say, and if you want to talk more about it.
Ed and I've been in Seattle because we're suntan.
It rained every day. At least, so, I mean, there's times it didn't rain, but it rained every day.
Oh.
That's all.
Councilperson Payne?
I wish I would have noticed this before we voted on it, but in the minutes, I was not present and I was not absent. But I was present in the minutes for November 4th. Any of those changed.
So which ones?
November 4th, regular council meeting. And
I'm just saying, if you need to correct it, because even though you approved, you can
Make a motion.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
I want to make a motion to put my name.
I'll second that.
Have a motion second to put Councilperson Payne's name in the November 4th meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion.
And I want to say for the record, although I voted for the mayor's plan for the marina, I do not support kicking people out. I don't know if maybe some people thought that our 3 votes in support of the marina could have been
I don't think it would
related.
matter.
I'm sorry?
I don't think it would have mattered according to the news article that we
Right.
read.
But I had no knowledge of that being part of his plan. That's all.
Okay.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that one vendor that really caught my eye when I was there was is called Tech Citizen. And what this is it's a way to take real-time voting and comments about different things. Like you could do
Sorry.
like, for example, if you want to spend money on sidewalk here or sidewalk there, you could put a poll together and have people text in, and within a day, find out what people think. Is that a good way to spend money, or what alternatives? So just kind of a new way. It's not like you have to send a mailer out or even put a Facebook out. You collect phone numbers and data mine that way, and boom, is this a good project? And you can find right away within a day, 2, or a week, or within a very short period of time.
What was it called, Ed?
Tech Citizen.
We can get rid of the newsletter.
It was called Insanity.
Oh, the
Yeah, and they could either do everything for you at a cost, or they can give you the software and you can have people direct these polls and questions to the citizens.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to the marine, my heart goes out to you all, and I'm so sorry about all this. And that was one of the points for our resolution, because we read that comment in the paper, and we specifically, I don't think, usually Nathan has that resolution. We specifically said that nothing can be done, no work can be done till all the permits and everything, because we were afraid that this was going to happen, so I'm sorry, guys.
We're just concerned that we're not going to be out of time, and by the letter, that the city is going to have a nice floating house down here that they own, and we don't, because we can't move out of time.
And you all should have this is our final, this spring 2013, the JNI Leadership Institute final report. If you get a chance to look over it, it showed all the projects that, especially if there was anything that was done in your district, to be aware of, what was going on there, because each neighborhood had to come up with a final project. So you have projects going on in your district to keep up on. And then also, I was out, especially in my district, with the storms and everything over the weekend, and I just want to assure that nothing has fallen on deaf ears, but the major problems we had with the culverts being blocked up was leaves. So, but I know we're going to address a few things in our drainage board, but I just wanted to assure the public out there, the ones on Waverly and the ones that are down there on Houston and Schuler and on my neighborhood, that, we're going to address a lot of those issues. That's all I have.
Okay, Councilperson Glover?
Don't have anything.
Councilperson Julie?
I do. I'd like to reiterate what Lisa was saying on the drainage. As far as, I did go out to a couple of neighborhoods on Sunday, and I know the people on Waverly have been pacified for years, and, we need to get them up on the priority list, I will say. because they have other issues besides drainage. The other thing that I'd like to say is our family went through some pretty traumatic things this weekend, and I would like to compliment our public safety entities of our city, being fire and police. They were over the top, and I hope nobody ever has to go through what our family went through, but they were very compassionate and just super. And I will tell you that we live in one of the best cities in the USA here. So, that's it.
I'll echo what you all have said about a lot of the drainage concerns. I had a couple calls from different neighborhoods too, and I think it's just the volume we got in the short amount of time. I did talk to the engineer today. He said that Waverly would be the next RFP requested through the Drainage Board for the buyout possibility, what we can do to correct that problem. So that's a good thing. It's been a long time coming. And there was something else, but I don't remember now, so.
Okay. I have three things. One is I'm going to put out the idea of having a workshop once a month in regards to the intended focus of that would be the projects that are taking place, whether through redevelopment or through the mayor, which is probably the same as redevelopment, or maybe even could be drainage or could be the sewer board. But I think it'd be good for us, that's one way we can focus on projects, we can ask questions about projects, we can find out a lot of information that we're not finding out now as a group. Maybe individually we are, but it's a way to provide feedback back and forth. So that's something that I'd like to put out there as a thought. Whether we do it in December, that doesn't matter, but we may try to start next year. But I think that would be very helpful to have that communication where we can ask the questions and get the information. Second thing is I'd like to ask the clerk for our next meeting, December 2nd, I'd like to request that we put the Marina project on our agenda, and we need to communicate with Scott to work up. I think we talked tonight, and I think Ed mentioned about the projects and expecting certain things before we approve them. The things that we've identified, I think all of us are aware of the things that we've identified, and we can communicate to Scott those before our next meeting. But to put together an ordinance that tries to move forward the marina now that we have the information, the plans, and but they need to address those issues that we've talked about. But I'd like to go ahead and get that on our next agenda. And then the last thing I'd mention is it's come to my attention, and I think maybe some others too, that we have a former city council where we had, it was just a short term, where we had a citizen, Wayne Carter, who was at the time was a council member. We have the picture of the council with Wayne in it, but it's not up. And we've been asked to see if we could post that or put it
I
up.
saw that that's in Mike Smith's office. He has that one and the current council.
It is framed.
They're framed and just leaning against the wall, so.
Can we,
If somebody can get them down to our office, and then we'll get
Great.
with Russ and...
get them up?
where we're gonna put them.
Okay. They can figure it out.
Right here.
Okay. So we need to get you the picture, and then you'll help get it up. Is that correct? You'll make it happen.
I got a hammer and nails, we can get it up.
Thank you.
We got hammer nails.
That's all I have.
Okay. I don't have anything except my heart goes out to the people who live at the marina, and I hope that we can get that resolved. So, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.